A very good afternoon to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you at NPCI's virtual event for celebrating 5 years of Digital India program. On this day, 5 years ago, Digital India was launched with the vision to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy by leveraging the power of technology and by making technology more accessible. In these past few years, digital technology has become a vital factor in accelerating the pace of India's economic growth, in promoting social and economic equity by enhancing access for all to information, markets, and public services. We can now be proud of the fact that India is one of the fastest digitizing nations in the world. We now have Ms. Simi Chaudhary, IES, Economic Advisor, METI. An officer of the Indian Economic Service, Ms. Chaudhary is presently posted as Economic Advisor to the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Her domain of work in the ministry includes Inter Allies Digidhan Mission, digital economy and technology development for Indian languages. Ms. Chaudhary is also Director Grievances, Nodal Officer for RTI, and Chief Vigilance Officer for the Ministry. Requesting Ms. Chaudhary to address us.
We are celebrating the 5th anniversary of the Digital India program of the government. At the outset, I would like to congratulate everyone and to thank everyone as well for their partnership in Digital India program of the government. As we are aware, the Digital India program of the government was launched on 1st July 2015. Take forward the pioneering vision of our Honorable Prime Minister for ensuring digital access, digital inclusion, bridging the digital divide, and digital empowerment of citizens, leading to India's transformation into a knowledge-based economy and a digital-empowered society. The program has ensured that digital inclusion of all is achieved by providing access to robust digital infrastructure created under it, thus facilitating a connect for all with the rest of the world. It weaves together a large number of ideas and thoughts into a single comprehensive vision to ensure that the benefits of development reach each and every citizen equal with the fast and timely delivery. Citizens participate in the mechanism of the country. All this has been enabled by use of technology that is transformative, affordable, and sustainable. Consequently, the story of digital transformation of India has found a wide global resonance. Today, India is in a sharply accelerating lift-off phase of its digital journey, having built a strong foundation of digital infrastructure and expanded digital access. India is now poised for the next phase of growth. That is, the creation of tremendous economic value and empowerment of citizens by leveraging our strengths to attain the aspiration of billions to build a self-reliant, strong, secure, and sustainable India. With the objective of minimum government and maximum governance, the daily average electronic transactions have increased from 66 lakh in 2014 to 16.34 in 2020. A total of 3,858 e-services have been enabled till May 2020. Spread across the country, 3.7 lakh common services centers are bridging the digital divide by providing around 360 e-services in all areas as front-end delivery centers. They are also creating entrepreneurial and employment opportunities for almost 12 lakh people a majority of them being women and the youth. The digital payment usage itself has witnessed unprecedented growth with new age payment modes such as UPI. The transactions on the UPI platform have grown exponentially. In the BPO sector, around 262 BPOs are functional across 123 located in 20 states and union territories of the country, thus facilitating a balanced regional growth and creating job opportunities even in small towns. India has also witnessed a rapid rise tech startup ecosystem, adding over 1,300 tech startups in 2019, of which several have turned unicorns. And nascent startup hubs experienced growth in the number of startups growing at a CAGR of over 40%. Mobile and mobile component manufacturing companies have increased from merely 2 units in 2015 to 256 units, and India has emerged as the second largest mobile manufacturing nation. The value of mobile phone production has also increased from 8,900 crore rupees in 2014-15 to over 1,60,000 crore in 2018-19. The production of industrial electronics, LEDs, consumer electronics, etc., all have witnessed a significant jump. The National Policy on Electronics of 2019, that has been brought out by the government, aims at positioning India as a global hub for electronics system design and manufacturing by encouraging and driving the capabilities of the country for developing core components, including chipsets, and creating an enabling environment for the industry to compete globally. Additionally, the National Policy on Software Products of 2019 has also taken India on the path towards becoming a software product nation. The promotion of digital payments has been accorded highest priority by the government to bring each and every segment of our country under the formal fold of digital payment services. The vision here is to provide the facility of seamless digital payments to all in a convenient, easy, affordable, quick, and secure manner. The high level of Aadhaar coverage has helped to accelerate access to services and has ensured financial inclusion on a large scale. The trinity of JAM, that is Jandhan, Aadhaar, and mobile, and digital payments, that is DigiDhan mission, are proving to be the biggest drivers of the digital economy in the country. The direct benefit transfers to the tune of rupees 11 lakh crore have been dispersed for 426 schemes of the government that span across 56 ministries. This has led to a saving of rupees 1.7 lakh crore, removal of ghost accounts and fictitious beneficiaries. The increased use of digital payments in the country has brought transparency and speed into a wide spectrum of digital transactions. In compliance of the budget announcement made by the Honorable Finance Minister for the year 2017, the DigiDhan mission was set up by the government for promotion of digital payments with the objective to promote the digital payment transactions, oversee the establishment of a digital payments ecosystem, create enabling infrastructure, evolve appropriate standards, and to ensure security of the entire digital payments ecosystem. We have witnessed a tremendous rise in the digital transactions as well in the payment scenario. The digital transactions volume has grown from 577 crore in 2015-16 to 4,752 crore in 2019-20. Significant efforts have been made to keep up the momentum as well as to accelerate it further. Unified Payments Interface has been a massive success in India. In about 4 years since launch in April 2016, its growth has eclipsed all debit and credit card payments at POS put together. In January of 2020, UPI crossed 1.3 billion transactions a month, and it still continues to grow rapidly. The government waived off the merchant discount rate applicable on debit card, Bhim UPI, Aadhaar Pay transactions for less than or equal to rupees 2000 in value for a period of 2 years, with effect from 1st of January 2018. Under the DigiDhan mission, a centralized payment gateway called PayGov India enables citizens to make online payments for availing the government services. The payment acceptance infrastructure has also witnessed tremendous growth. During 2017, around 25.3 lakh points of sale were deployed, and today there are more than 51 lakh points of sale, with the total points of sale, including the digital ones, being more than a crore. A new educational channel, Digishala, was launched on DD Free Dish to create awareness about various forms of electronic payments to the citizens on 9th December 2016. The grievance redressal mechanism in the digital payments domain has also been strengthened by creating convergence with the National Consumer Helpline platform. There has been close coordination with ministries and departments of the central government and the state governments, as well as the banks, and this has enabled promotion of digital payments as a successful attainment of the targets that we had set out each other, as well as for the banks. The FinTech of Excellence at Chennai, that was launched in February 2019, has helped to create a vibrant ecosystem by enabling startups in the fintech sector to develop innovative solutions to address the challenges that we may face in the financial sector. The growth of digital payments ecosystem is set to transform the economy, and India is making significant strides in various dimensions of this ecosystem. India's unique payment systems like Bhim UPI and Bhim Aadhaar are recognized globally for their impact that they have created by their adoption. At the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology of the Government of India, we are committed to creating a stronger ecosystem for promotion of digital payments, with an aim to reach 11,000 crore digital payment transactions in volume by 2020 year end. Our endeavor will be to ensure inclusion of the hardest of the society across the terrain of the country. Towards this, a focused approach will be adopted to strengthen the entire ecosystem, especially in the Northeast, J&K, Ladakh, and other remote or far-flung areas, so that financial inclusion in its true spirit can be ensured to all citizens of the country. UPI has put India far ahead in the world, but most of the countries are still using the traditional methods. Card payments continue to remain dominant even in developed countries. This creates a huge potential for India to take UPI as a global payment product in the international market, as UPI can bring about a revolutionary change even in cross-border remittances by taking the foreign inward remittances as well as the foreign outward remittances. Our endeavor is also to proliferate the National Common Mobility Card for digital payments, moving ahead on the lines of One Nation, One Card. Promotion of BBPS for payment of utilities and other recurring payments will also be encouraged with the required strategic push. Drives will be undertaken to onboard micro merchants and to consolidate self-help groups as well. Emerging technologies across the world are today bringing in disruptions in every sector. Our endeavor is to capture the potential of these emerging technologies to boost our payment sector and the entire ecosystem in the country. We know that increased use of digital payments has led to transparency and accountability. Today, the world looks towards India in its transitional journey from a cash-dependent to a less cash economy. The milestone success of UPI has showcased the immense potential of national public digital platforms that are important to realize the increased efficiencies in the system as well as to unlock the value creation potential of each of the domains of the economy. Similar projects like Aadhaar, GEM, GSTN, and DigiLocker, all public digital platforms in themselves, are testaments of low investment and high returns methodology of government service delivery through public digital platforms that seek to converge the siloed projects that are in operation across the ecosystem to the digital technology as well as to foster innovation in every sector of the digital economy with the objective of creating an inclusive, strong, secure, and sustainable digital economy, as well as with the objective of realizing the $1 trillion digital opportunity of India by 2025. The roadmap ahead is envisioned on five strategic pillars: digital services, digital inclusion, digital infrastructure, digital confidence, and digital economy, coupled with the strategic and systematic use of artificial intelligence, 5. Internet of Things, data analytics, and other emerging technologies in every sector of the economy to unlock the value potential in that sector. By growing our capacities in these digital technologies and by applying them across sectors, including digital payments, India is moving along the path of a digital economy wherein we will drive sustainable growth through the use of these digital technologies and continuous innovation. This is the need of the hour, and I call upon all stakeholders today to join hands towards realizing this vision of digital India and creation of a digital ecosystem that provides a fair and equitable opportunity scenario to every citizen of the country and ensures digital inclusion in true spirit in the mainstream. On our pathway to growth and expansion, we will all have to work towards the target as Team India, with close involvement and partnership of central ministries and departments, the state governments, the industry, startups, academia, civil society, and the citizens at large as well, so that our concerted efforts lead India into a $1 trillion digital economy by 2025 and help in realization of the vision of a digital Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat. On this occasion, I thank and congratulate NPCI for organizing this event in which there are very meaningful panel discussions scheduled later, and the esteemed panelists who are on board for those panel discussions. We look forward to really receiving very good active outcomes out of these sessions and guidance to the government on how we can take forward our common objectives towards development of the country and the digital payments in particular. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a wonderful and inspiring welcome address. In order for a digital payments economy to thrive, it is important to create a balanced ecosystem wherein customers have convenience of payments and merchants have access to asset light and low cost payments infrastructure. Now, it is my privilege to initiate our first panel discussion on digital payments empowering Bharat. Our esteemed panelists for today are Mr. Sanjeev Kaushik, Additional Secretary, DFS, Mr. Deepak Sharma, President and Chief Digital Officer, Kotak Mahindra Bank, Mr. Rajiv Ahuja, Executive Director, RBL Bank, and Mr. Ajay Vyas, Executive Director, UCO Bank. The panel will be moderated by Ms. Praveena Rai, Chief Operating Officer, NPCI. Handing it over to Ms. Praveena Rai.
Thank you very much. And that was a great address by Simiji. Simiji, thank you so much for opening the session for us today. And welcome to my panelists here. I want to just first introduce the topic, which is really about digital payments empowering Bharat. Now, on this occasion of the fifth year of the Digital India creation, the creation of the concept, I think it'll be good to note why the concept was created. Digital India was really set up to ensure that as India is powering ahead on the digital technology and platforms that are becoming available, that we also ensure that we create the bridge for people who may have been traditionally excluded from taking advantage of these opportunities to be part of the success of the day. So that's one of the inherent objectives of Digital India. And what better way than to start our first panel focusing on how digital payments is really empowering this Bharat. Now, what is Bharat? Bharat is people in parts of rural India, small towns, the urban underprivileged, people who may not have easy and ready access to what we all take for granted, banking services, payment services, and whatever have you. So that's the definition of Bharat. It sort of gets used in the context of India versus Bharat, but without getting lost in terminology. I just wanted to lay the perspective of why and what we are going to be addressing in this panel. And when we cover digital payments, I think for NPCI, and NPCI has had the privilege, NPCI has had the pleasure of being part of the story of Digital India over the last few years. 5 years certainly has been very fast paced in terms of what has been done and delivered. And for every initiative that we take, it's very important that we also consider and take into account what is being done for Bharat. So if it is NACH, then there is, the DBT and ABPS platform. Aadhaar payments, there is AEPS. On RuPay, there is the PMJDY card. For UPI, there is the USSD service. So everything has a other side of the coin, which is always focused towards Bharat. However, there's a lot more to go, and that's what I'm hoping we'll discuss in today's discussion today. So I'm going to open this up for the first question. Sanjeev ji, if I can invite you to open the stage for us. If you could just tell us about how do you think digital payments has empowered Bharat? Has digital payments empowered Bharat? Have we done enough? What has been done so far? And as a second part to that, if you can also elaborate a bit about what has been the journey on the Aadhaar enabled payment system and how that could move further and forward to also enable payments for Bharat. So over to you, Sanjeev ji.
Thank you, Praveena. I hope I'm audible to everybody. Okay, congratulations first of all to NPCI. I was just thinking, what better tribute to the 1st of July when Digital India was actually launched 5 years ago? What better tribute than to be doing this online rather than to be cowed down by the lockdown and not being able to do this in person? I think it's really a testimony to how far we have come that increasingly all our meetings, various discussions are happening online through webinars, etc. So I think it's been an important and eventful journey. The whole Digital India push has actually paved the way for a revolutionary change in the way people have handled money and payments. Let me just give you an anecdote to show how powerful the paradigm has been. When our Honorable Prime Minister declared the Garib Kalyan Yojana in late March, early April because of the pandemic, and in the DFS, we were charged with ensuring that the 500 rupees installments per month for 3 months were made to the accounts of women in Bharat, the rural far-flung areas of India where people were, in grave need for funds, but they were not able to reach and not able to access many services. So you will be happy to know that in these 3 months, we have actually transferred 31,000 crore rupees to more than 20 crore Jandhan accounts of women, mainly in rural, far-flung, remote areas. And this really is a testimony to how far we have come. In some senses, if you want to visualize it, digital India, of course, was important, but ensuring that there were a large segment of people who were no longer unbanked but had access to banking services with a basic account, the Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana account, were able to get access to money. And today we are transferring huge sums of direct cash transfers, direct benefits transfers, like the one that I just talked about, through the digital push. Today we have 39 crore PMJDY accounts. There is a balance outstanding in these accounts of almost 1.35 lakh crore. And not only are people receiving the direct cash transfers in these accounts, but they're also using, if they can't necessarily, because of the lockdown, go and withdraw cash from ATMs or bank branches, through the BCs, the banking correspondents, they are getting the money, they are making payments, they are going to the point of sales machines which have been installed at various vendors. To give you an example, farmers are going to the fertilizer shops, outlets. People are going to street vendors. There are people who are accessing all kinds of payment services using the Aadhaar-enabled payment services. And this is a real powerful paradigm. In fact, when I was listening to the address by Simiji, it was really eye-opening how far the JAM Trinity, the Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity, has taken the country. And we hope to grow much more from here because we have many, many miles to go.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And great points. I think the Jan Dhan Yojana has certainly been the foundation block on the back of which a lot of these services we are now able to provide. Ultimately, payment is a service that is layered over the core banking account or the core banking service. And the collaboration with the business correspondents, the point that you make, has been a fantastic story in this journey. They've really taken to the purpose to heart and have been a big enabler. In the last 2 to 3 months, I think we've seen tremendous work happening in that space from the entire industry, all the banks, to handle the volume and ensure that the person who's needing to get the benefit is getting the service that they deserve. So I'll move on from there, and not better time to talk about. Right now we are all in the COVID, moving from lockdown to unlock. But the last 2-3 months has taught us a lot. And there's been a lot of innovation that we have seen because of the new challenges that were encountered in the market. And I want to raise this to the rest of the panelists here. And Rajiv, I can probably start with you. In terms of across the products, we have the Jan Dhan cards. There is AEPS. There is ENACH, which also has recently been permitted. Earlier, the e-sign for ENACH was not permitted, and the Supreme Court judgment got addressed. All of that coming together, did you see certain challenges, and did you see some interesting innovations that were addressed towards these challenges in the last 3 months? And do you see any of them progress further?
Yeah, Praveena, thank you. And first of all, I think it's a great occasion in more ways than one to bring this together. I think as the journey for usage of digital means or assisted digital means was already underway. I think COVID in some manner has changed the slope trajectory for that, and customers are a lot more open. We've seen ourselves almost between a 75 to 100% increase in throughput over the last 3 months across all our products. And some of that will probably not go back to the old levels. They'll probably continue from this point on. So account opening, fixed deposits, recurring deposits, use of BC network. In fact, we've probably had the most significant volumes in the month of April and May in terms of our BC network. As you know, we do about 10 crore transactions annually, and that's growing at a significant pace. And these are transactions done in a range of 2,000 to 3,000 rupees. So that's almost like 25, 30,000 crores across 8 lakhs DSP points. and the activity level has been enormous. So I think in a lot of ways, the familiarity, the ease with which many of these products have acquired over the last 7 years, and then the impetus of this last 3 months has accelerated the journey. I think from a enablement perspective, we're obviously working on many things along with the industry and you all and the UIDAI. But for instance, the entire facial, authorization, account opening, and verification, these are enablements which can go a long way in reducing the friction costs, onboarding challenges, eventually a very robust KYC AML, so that the costs of doing business across the spectrum, including urban India and the rural India, are brought down considerably. And I think that journey has already accelerated, and we don't think there is anything else which will impede it. I think continuously the adoption is going to keep happening.
Thanks, Rajiv. And yes, I would agree. Great story on. Really appreciate the bank, jump starting that off and giving some early feedback on how that goes. So if people are able to really move beyond just the thumb for biometric authentication, I think we'll have a good story going there in the coming time. So Deepak, I'll move to you from there. If you can touch upon the same question. So COVID times, unlock, and moving from lock to unlock. For Bharat, have you seen interesting examples of innovation? And if you can also take it further and look towards the next year or two, and say that what barriers do you think are there for further adoption of digital payments, and what ideas would you want to table in terms of how we need to be addressing them?
Sure, Praveena. So first, congrats. I think together as a Team India, 5 years, and seeing how the payment transactions have leapfrogged. Today, I don't think anyone has any doubt whatsoever about whether UPI is growing at the expense of AEPS or AEPS is cannibalizing Aadhaar Pay. I remember there used to be all this conversation that do we have too many options that have come up in a very short span of time in Digital India and I think our payment mission. Today, we see for each payment railroad, there is a customer segment that finds that payment experience relevant. And there is a market for each of those to coexist and grow. So as we look at, I think I will share a couple of very interesting data points. And as I was looking at data relevant to Kotak, and I'm sure this data may be relevant to the entire industry, I was looking at our split between the cash, which is the cash withdrawal at ATM and cash withdrawal at branches. And I was comparing this total amount in terms of value and volume to all the other digital transactions. This, I'm not talking of the P2P transaction or IMPS and NEFT. No, I'm not talking of fund transfer. But I'm talking of the whole merchant side transaction. So, which is either the transactions on payment gateway, people paying utility bills or UPI, P2M. So all kind of merchant checkout. Sometime in October 2019, this ratio was around 60% towards cash and 40% was towards all other ways of merchant payment. Sometime in Jan, this is the first time this percentage got breached to 57%. And in April, while April is not the right reflection of the trend because a lot of economic activity dipped, the cash, which is branch plus ATM put together, was less than 20%. 80% of all transactions were digital transaction in the merchant checkout space. So while this can be an aberration because there probably was a less consumption of cash, but I think if you look at a trend line of moving from 60% cash, 20% cash in 6 months' time, I think the truth in my mind lies somewhere in between. And even with the full resumption of economic activities and transactions, I think the growth in digital transaction is here to stay. And this trend we will continue to see. When you speak about innovation, I think a lot more is happening where a lot of offline stores have moved online. A lot of payment and transactions which used to go through check and cash has started to move digitally. Simple example in urban India, a lot of society payments. People used to write checks. I think today nobody even talks about writing a check. or probably in terms of the way we see the Aadhaar-enabled payment and Aadhaar Pay growth. I think the whole rural of Bharat has adopted AEPS railroad like anything, and I don't see there is any alternative to the convenience that AEPS provides, or at the PDS distribution point, we see the benefit of Aadhaar Pay. So I think all these things are growing. Also, we are looking at the growth through various new innovation that we have been building in, like the banking and e-commerce coming together. So our category like a K-mall, which we started a few years back, today we see about 7 to 8% of the transaction that originates within our ecosystem goes to e-commerce category that is closely embedded within our own framework. And we will continue to see a lot more of such payment innovation. The whole education, the recharge category, the utility bill payment, I think has grown by 50% in last 3 months. So as I look at this data trends, it's not that people, once they've discovered how to pay bill online, are going to go back and queue up in the physical format. So I think a lot of this is habit forming, and in my mind, the bigger challenge or innovation that we are all looking at is bringing in a strong, robust security framework. Because as more customers get into the digital payment framework, digital transaction and ecosystem, how do we ensure that some of those customers who are early adopters, they don't get into any kind of fraud or compromise? And one of the areas, Pravina, I thought we should all think through maybe is how do we build a trusted merchant network for a UPI collect, so that not anyone can ask for you to pay. And just like you have a verified account on a Twitter or a link.
Thank you, Pravina, for giving this opportunity to talk on the such a good occasion. I congratulate all the stakeholders of Digital India. Last 5 years, I was on the field, direct level, at the BC level, at the village level, and what I have seen from my eyes probably may be different from what you see from Mumbai. The real empowerment of citizens of India has taken place in last 5 years. We have made them very economically the part of the whole main ecosystem of our financial industry. We have given them opportunity for open an account which can directly reach to them, and also given them the opportunity to avail credit at a very affordable cost. So the financial inclusion drive probably has the biggest advantage which has gone to any sector in the financial inclusion sector of the digitalization. If I talk to the data points, I can tell you 5 years before we were doing about 30 million transactions on digital platform. Now those transactions has gone to 200 million in 5 years. You can see the CAGR of the growth of the digital transaction which has happened because of a lot of initiative from NPCI, from DFS, from Government of India on different platforms. During the COVID, we have the way NPCI has enabled the transaction platforms in 5 years because of the AEPS, Aadhaar Pay, UPI. That has given us a lot of armory to handle the COVID also situation. In the COVID period, what we are observing, people are preferring contactless banking right now. That is one of the major issues which is coming up now in the market. People are preferring, they don't want to come to, they don't want to touch the ATM, they don't want to come to the branches. So there are some innovations which has taken place during the COVID period, like contactless withdrawal of the cash from an ATM machine through QR. This is one of the innovation which has taken place during the COVID. Then virtual cards, the UCO Bank has brought virtual debit cards also for their customers because they don't want to give it the debit cards in even the POS machines also. So we have brought in the virtual payment card system. We have also introduced the soft POS also during the COVID period. So, in spite of all these things development, I think more and more innovations are required in now payment industry. We not to now people are very much in tune with the social media platforms. They are using WhatsApp, they are using other social media platforms. Can we converge our banking with the social media? Need to be looked into both the financial and non-financial part of the banking. Right now, during the COVID, we have initiated one project of migrating to WhatsApp banking, wherein we start working through the WhatsApp channel of banking. We'll be starting with the non-financial transactions, and slowly, once the regulator allows us to do, we'll also migrate to the financial transactions also. So these are these few innovation. Probably COVID has taught us how to go about banking. The way Rajiv and Deepak has told about how account opening, visually we can open the accounts, KYC, and other things. They are all already on the cards. But apart from that, let us have better user interface with the customer so that they can do a contactless banking. Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you, Ajay. I think some very good points there about how people, don't want to handle contact of any sort. Virtual cards being a great example. I think we were also hearing anecdotes about currency being sterilized and passed over counters and things like that. So obviously there is a big need for us to address, and this is there for the next few months for us to have that extra caution. And as an industry, we
Pravina,
will need to address.
I'll just add one thing. Within 2 to 3 days of launch of virtual card, the subscription was more than a lakh in the my system ecosystem. So people in fact we never estimated the need of the virtual card. So as soon as we launched the virtual card, immediately people started using the virtual cards.
Absolutely, I can well imagine and certainly understand that. So I think very good innovative ideas kicking off and finding a big pull, and that's one thing that we've certainly observed that sometimes for the Bharat requirements, one felt that it was a push. We were sort of driving people and moving people towards digital payments. But as Deepak earlier mentioned, now it's a pull. People want it, and that's what you're seeing also with the demand on the virtual card side. So moving on to another very interesting topic, Rajiv, over to you here. When we look at the collaboration to serve Bharat, there are, of course, the business correspondents have played a very, very big role there. What do you think about the collaboration with fintech? Fintech empowering Bharat, collaborating with banks, and I want to look at two parts. One is the fintechs for Bharat, and what about the fintechs of Bharat? Have you come across fintechs emanating from Bharat who also will be a part of the journey and find the opportunity to become large players in the coming years?
Yeah, Pravina, in fact, that's a great question, because I think all of the things we want to do, and certainly we are of a very firm view that as much as digital about ease and convenience, it's also about expanding the market, working with partners in many areas. And that's been kind of the core ethos of RBL Bank. And I think it also gives us the opportunity to understand consumer and business insights in parts of India where we may not have direct insight ourselves. And I think that's can be a great combination. We've certainly benefited a lot from that. So, for instance, we are the largest merchant acquirer because we work with fintechs, and a lot of them are tier 2, tier 3 towns and cities. Our entire APS DMT network is now built on what you might call business correspondents, but they are fintechs at heart, because they are now getting more and more products and services powered by us into the hands of these CSPs, which can then bring it to their customers. The idea is the customer will go to the places where he or she is most comfortable with. So I think there is a larger opportunity looming, in my view. Supply chain, we are doing some experiments on small retailer financing using payment data, both in urban and rural markets. And that's, I think, the next step is to see how we can leverage transaction data along with our partners to create more meaningful products and services for the merchant and for the consumers. So I see traffic both ways. I see supply chain. In fact, one of the things of COVID will be that many large anchors who have traditionally been fairly modern in terms of linking the supply chain are wanting to do more electronification right down to the kirana store or the small merchant, because that'll give them a lot of data as well as improve the delivery of services and products in time. How does a fintech and a bank play a role in not just connecting the payment flows, but also providing the uh, working capital layer where, we know there's an anchor, we know there is a past pattern of sales, we know that these are fast moving goods, and how do you create that and build more effective financing products? And then you can take it to small ticket.
So Deepak, we'll have to, I think, leave Rajiv to get his connection back. So Deepak, over to you with the same question in terms of fintech being an enabler, the collaboration between the banks and fintech, specific to solutions that we need to offer for Bharat. Your views on that. Deepak, you're on mute.
Yeah. So I said each bank has taken a different approach to the fintech collaboration. When I speak as Kotak strategy, I think we have been more selective in terms of the way we approach the whole fintech ecosystem. While we have our open banking platform through which we have about 50 odd APIs that we have provided to those who want to connect with us, be it developers, be it fintech, be it large enterprises. But we look at it in two or three things. We look at what are our core strengths. And obviously, our core strengths lies in the nodal account, settlement, collection, ensuring that these fintechs have a robust way to pay in and pay out and manage their whole cash management and liquidity with us. Second is when we look at young fintechs or the ones who are just starting or probably at a very, very early age. There we have looked at what are the key problems are they solving. And I think if they are solving problem which is at scale, for example, there are fintechs we are working with who are looking at integrated merchant acquiring strategy. Because when you go to a merchant, today you have AEPS, an Aadhaar Pay, and a POS, and a QR solution. But the merchant doesn't want to look at each of those as a standalone acceptance solution. And there are fintechs who are solving for this problem. So we work with such fintechs very closely. We also look at fintechs who are providing the last mile merchant acquiring access or reach, especially in Northeast, in tier 3, tier 4 markets. Because these are some of the problems we must admit, despite our best intent, I think banks have not been able to solve of their own. And I think picking up and working very closely with partners who have a business model and who have a way to serve or acquire customers in these markets makes sense. So broadly, innovation, market access, and managing their cash flow settlement nodal. I think these are largely the areas that we focus with. And around this, we have over 200 fintech partnerships that we have stitched over last 2 years. And I think most of these partnerships we have seen as a long-term sustainable partnerships.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepak and Rajiv. I think great points on the supply chain opportunity there. And I think we are, in fact, hearing more about with a lot of the migrant laborers having, moved back to certain states. Potentially, there is an opportunity to maybe create even, more local employment there. So, supply chain and many of these factors might also start looking different in the coming years as organizations look to de-risk some of the urban concentration that we have in the current environment. Remote parts of the country, aggregated payment services, some great points there. So Ajay, I'll come to you on this point on fintech, and I specifically want to understand from you about your experience on enabled services. I think there is a body of work around doorstep banking, for example, doorstep services. What do you think about how this is important assisted services being important for digital empowerment of Bharat?
See, Ravina, under the roadmap of banking reforms by Government of India, through their EASE agenda, there's the enhanced access and service excellence reforms. UCO Bank has given the role the, for creating a platform for doorstep banking. We have used fintechs for these purposes. Now we have about 10 million, about 100 million citizens which are above age of 60 and which are we are not able to come to the banking brick and mortar branches, and they need digital at their doorstep. So what we have done, we have brought in two fintech companies in India, and through universal touch points, these customers can contact these fintech companies, and the banking services can be delivered at their doorsteps. We have divided these services into two parts: one is financial services, and then another non-financial services. In non-financial services, we have pickup of checks and drafts, new checkbook requisition, acceptance of 15G, 15H, acceptance of IT challans, standing instructions, uh, delivery of statement of accounts, delivery of non-personalized checkbooks, delivery of prepaid instruments, Form 16 to be delivered, term fixed deposit receipts. These can be delivered. These are the non-financial transactions. We have started these services in 4 cities now, and on by 15th August, we are also starting the financial services also. This is purely based on like the way the Zomato works or the Gojek work or the Ola works. The same way the BC Point, these guys will be in the market. They will be GPS, they have a GPS locator with them. Based on the transactions and all seamlessly, all banks will be uh, work with close coordination with the fintech companies. And as soon as the request comes from the customer, it will be diverted towards the pickup points. They'll go to the branches. Branches will have the already have the messages for this, and the services will be delivered. We are trying to give the services within 3 hours, and if the customer has requested before 3 p.m. If he is requesting after 3 p.m., probably next day by 12 o'clock, the service will be delivered at his doorstep. So probably this is the major services, and I'm very sure that most of the public sector banks will join this platform. We have already have the IT collaboration with these banks, and probably by 15th of August, we will roll out the financial transaction through doorstep banking. Thank you, Pravina.
Thank you. So I think doorstep banking, and I'm sure this can be as relevant across the country for all parts of the population, onboarding people onto various platforms, maybe cash out services, payment services, so on and so forth. So really look forward to tracking that very closely. Sanjeev,
Pravina,
yes.
these guys will carry the micro ATMs, and probably they'll deliver the cash also. They'll accept the cash also, deposits also. And very nominal fees will be charged through to the customers for this.
Okay.
Pravina, can I just jump in there for a quick comment?
Yes, Sanjeevji, I'm actually going to pass on to you for closure. So we'll take your comment. You have a bird's eye view of everything that's happening in the industry. So if you can give us your perspective on what you think, are the barriers in the industry, and along with your comments, also give some direction on what do you think the ecosystem players, the industry should be doing, and then we'll close with your comments.
Sure. No, thank you for that. I was just going to say that as I was listening to Deepak ji and Rajiv ji earlier, recently we had a couple of fintechs make a presentation to DFS and Niti Aayog, and the entire idea was around lending based on various cash transfers. So there was one fintech which was talking about targeting the kind of Bharat that we are giving cash benefits transfers to, and therefore offering tailor-made products which could be targeted at some of these, low-ticket items, but still that would make use of this data and then offer products to them, even loans, small loans. And that could be a very powerful access to credit kind of paradigm that we could offer to these people. The other fintech that came to us was, of course, talking about people's spending patterns. And if you analyze the kind of spend that people have, for example, you go to a petrol pump, and how many times a month you've gone there, what is the amount you've spent. If that kind of information could be collated and analyzed, and then people could be targeted with different kind of products. So I thought some of these fintechs and the ideas that they were presenting to us were very exciting. But to go back to the question that you posed in terms of some of the bottlenecks, again, I think one of the panelists was talking about, I think it was Deepak ji who was talking about security concerns. I think there are two parts to the whole customer experience. The first part is if we are to enable the customer to have a much richer experience, then we have to increase our infrastructure capacity. If you recall, Praveena, NPCI and we were discussing all through April as to the failed transactions. And then we were successfully able to reduce the number of failed transactions. So I think the banks and NPCI will have to step up the capacity as far as infrastructure for handling the increased volume and also the transaction value, that is the increased volume of transactions. But also, I think there is a very important point around financial literacy. Some of these customers that we are trying to target, especially in Bharat, even if they have access, may not be culturally, they may not be familiar with the kind of technologies that you offer and the kind of services they can avail. And even if we manage to publicize that, then there are concerns around financial literacy, what product to choose, how to do this, how to do that. We are trying to currently also avail some fintech services to try and integrate products. For instance, we are trying to say how the Sukanya Samriddhi scheme could be linked together with some compulsory or some monthly saving schemes, or a recurring fixed deposit could be tied up with the kind of direct benefits transfers that we are making. We are also taking auto consent for people who are receiving some of these cash transfers to enroll onto the Prime Minister's Jan Suraksha schemes, the micro insurance schemes that we have. So I think in terms of bottleneck, we have a long way to go, but we are already trying to solve the issues around infrastructure. Very importantly, the payment acceptance infrastructure will have to be invested in. And that is where there are current issues, if I can use the word irritants, like, the issue of MDR charges, etc., which we have to work around from the policy perspective. We are very much conscious of that. But that is my take on some of the bottleneck issues that we face going forward.
Thank you. That's a great closure. Thank you, everybody. Sanjeevji, Deepak, Rajiv, Ajay. So we'll close the panel with this. Looking forward to many more years of digital empowerment for Bharat, for Digital India. And I'm sure we'll see many accolades to work on this together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the interesting session. Financial inclusion is one of the cornerstones of a developing economy. Launched in 2015, Digital India has been regarded as a significant intervention to bring the unbanked population who had been kept out of the mainstream economy into the formal financial net. We at NPCI are now glad to showcase AI Virtual Assistant Pi. Now, I would like to request Mr. Sanjeev Kaushik, Additional Secretary, DFS, to please share with us some interesting details on Pi.
Thank you. I'm very happy to note that NPCI has come up with its first digital payment literacy chatbot named Pi. This is an artificial intelligence virtual payment assistant to bring awareness among customers and bank staff on digital payments. Pi will help Indian citizens to get real-time and accurate information on usage and features of digital payment products. there are various features that the Pi chatbot has. Some of the ones that I would like to name are the automation of customer support services. In order
Sorry for the technical glitch. May I now request for the Pi audiovisual to be played?
Pi Personal AI, yet another initiative from NPCI to improve digital financial inclusion in India. The AI virtual assistant Pi is available round the clock, helping users with access to accurate information on NPCI products in English and Hindi as well as through voice. Pi helps to create awareness around products like FASTag, RuPay, UPI, AEPS, IMPS, Bharat Bill Pay, NASH, Bheem, *99# and more on a real-time basis. Ask your queries by voice.
What is UPI?
Unified Payments Interface (UPI) is an instant payment system developed by the National Payments Corporation of India (NPCI), an RBI-regulated entity. UPI is built over the IMPS infrastructure and allows you to instantly transfer money between any two parties' bank accounts.
Soon, it will be available in Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and more regional languages. Thank you. Please interact with Pi and share your feedback.
We are happy to introduce Pi, which is yet another initiative of NPCI to improve digital financial inclusion in India. Digital payments form an integral part of the smart city vision, with the rising acknowledgement of the value they bring to local governments and their citizens. It is now time to talk about yet another interesting panel on digital payments for urban mobility. For the panel on digital payments for urban mobility are Ms. D. Thara, Joint Secretary, MOHUA, Mr. Ravindra Pandey, DMD Strategy and Chief Digital Officer, State Bank of India, Mr. Sudipta Roy, Group Head, Unsecured Assets, Cards and Payment Solutions, ICICI Bank, and Mr. Sanjeev Narayani, Executive President and Head Business, Bandhan Bank. The session will be moderated by Mr. Arif Khan, Chief Digital Officer, NPCI. Handing it over to Mr. Arif Khan.
Hey, thanks, Smita, and welcome to all. I'm really excited about this second session, and I hope the audience also is very excited. We have a very, very interesting topic in hand, covering mobility and transit. While in the last couple of months or last 3 months or so, Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, obviously there has been sort of a break in that, but hopefully we'll recover from that very soon and get about business as usual. The criticality of this entire mobility transit in a country like India, at times I believe is understated, right? With the kind of population that we have, with the kind of reliance that we have on public transport, I think it's super, super critical. And it's not only about converting the transactions when people are buying their tickets or when they're traveling from one point to the other, and how do we convert it into a digital experience and hence bring efficiency. I perhaps feel in India, there are different numbers, maybe 250, 300 odd Indians who have made the digital adoption. The next 200, 300 million, I think they lie here. Is we can make the right behavioral shifts for this base, I think that India can truly become digital. So all in all, I think it's a very, very vibrant arena to be in. I think the only other thing more vibrant than this is the esteemed and experienced panelists we have. So without much ado, I welcome them all again and would like to start that. Sure. So, SBI is the largest public sector bank in the country. I mean, you have the largest consumer base. So, how are you seeing this space? I mean, what's your view on this space for starters? What do you see as a challenge? Do you see any challenge in adoption in terms of technology?
See, what I see is an urban mobility, particularly not in terms of technology. We have the right technology, right set of startups also, which we help. Probably what is required and what I feel is basically a right business model on one hand, and on the other hand, is probably not taking urban mobility as a standalone basis. See, urban mobility has to be seen as a mobility as a service. Like we have Ola. Suppose, you can't have a consumer swiping tens of cards, 3 of mobile apps to complete its end-to-end journey. So therefore, the customer has. All challenges, like interdependency between different state governments having a different set of rules for themselves. You can't have this type of infrastructure or this type of challenges which is really going to boost urban mobility.
Okay, great. All right. So, ma'am, you being the apex body driving and paving the way with regulations, guidance, and whole lot of support, how do you see this entire transit and the entire thing about urban mobility adoption? Where do you rate it in a scale of 1 to 10? And what in your mind next or the fundamental challenges of what we need to solve as we move ahead? So I want you to share with us a macro view. We have a lot of bankers, of course, on the panel as well as in the audience. What's your view on this? Where is the adoption and what needs to be done to kind of solve it? Ma'am, to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sorry I joined late because of some other meeting. So basically, I think the whole transit sector has to be looked at from a very different perspective. One is, I don't know, sometimes I think the way Aadhaar got done, should we do a vehicle Aadhaar? Transit Aadhaar. What I'm trying to say is, there are so many bodies which are providing transit as a service. Finally, they are just transporting people. It is a service which is being given. Somebody is doing it through a metro, somebody is doing through a bus, somebody is doing through a cycle rickshaw, somebody is doing through a auto. But all of them don't have digital payment systems capability because everybody has to develop their own system from their own resources, and many of them are wanting in that way. They don't have the wherewithal to do it. Can we create a Ola, Uber kind of digital platform where the fellows will plug in from their system and just use that system? That kind of all-pervasive system of digital payments has to be thought of. I mean, here I am not a techie, so I don't understand how it will be done, but I'm sure it can be done, number one. So that is something which we need to look at. For example, if Delhi is there, now, in COVID, Paytm say payment ho raha hai, UPI say payment. Sorry. So when we are doing those payments. It's easy because somebody gets a QR code, you go and scan on the shopkeeper and pay. Can this QR code be available in every vehicle? Can this layer of providing the digital enablement be lifted completely from the bodies of the operators, PTOs, and taken to a different level and a macro system is put in place? So that, for example, nobody needs to do anything. It is a unique code created for a particular auto rickshaw and it just pays through.
Okay.
See, I mean, it is possible. I'm sure it is doable, but I don't know how do we actually do it is the question. Another, I mean, the one more approach is now we are doing a card. Now, card is again, it has its own, I mean, we are implementing National Common Mobility Card, very good. A lot of operators have picked it up, it's happening, everything is okay. But then it's like, it's, only the public transit operators are being looked at to pick up this card. How do we integrate the paratransit? Now, if we all understand, public transit is 30,000 buses plus few metros, okay, and it's a long time before we look at 60% or 80% penetration of public transit into our cities. So it is going to be a long time because we have to invest so much. Or we should create a digital platform for plugging in and making payments so that some of these vehicles which are lying idle in the urban scape becomes the public transit during the day. Can we do that? Ola Uber is a company, is an integrating platform. Can we do a platform where it is so easy to plug in your vehicle and use it as an independent public transit, where the bike or the car is reused by some other person, some other citizen in a particular way and it is paid for in a professional manner? I think it can work. We should try that. So this is what I feel is a major paradigm shift which should happen from doing cards, and card is okay, but can we move on from there? Even because once you bring in a form which is, or somebody who is already there,
in this, and I will draw from my experience and what I have learned, globally in interacting with many global players during this particular efforts of ours. As I said, and as you sort of mentioned in your earlier payments, the first factor which I say is adoption. The second factor which I say is interoperability, and the third factor is risk, where a financial institution comes in. Now you have to understand that adoptability and interoperability are exactly correlated. Higher the interoperability, higher the adoptability. Now if you see, and numbers are there, Delhi Metro, for example, launched their smart card, almost close to 15 years back, but still almost close to 25 to 26, primarily because, the fact is that the level of interoperability which we need for larger adoption to happen, probably, in all the transport operating systems in our country, probably that amount of interoperability is not there. Let's take the case, for example, say a globally successful transit payment system like Oyster or say Octopus is experiment of Suica. And the fact is that if you see the Suica experience in Japan, it is not only a transit operate with Suica in all across the Japan Railway East network, which is quite wide, but you can actually do micropayments in retail using that particular card. So adoptability of that particular payment system is close to 100%. Why? Because it is not only interoperable in transit, but the funnel goes outside transit and moves into retail, where people really find more use for this particular payment instrument rather than only using it for transit. However, we have seen that the world is slowly moving away from sort of closed loop, fixed value or stored value operating transit payment systems to open loop systems, which is obviously the way to go. If you see, right now in London Metro, which actually opened up the contactless payments, almost close to 80% to 85% of the payments are contactless right now, and that transformation has happened in exactly a period of 6 years. 2014 they launched contactless in 2020. So I think one of the important initiatives that NPCI has taken, especially with especially with the NCMC and the NCMC formulation. And you recall, Arif, the original discussions that we had, wherein sort of the blueprints were being laid out for this. Risk was a big element, and this is the third thing that I will round up my answer with. If a financial institution is taking, as you know, there are two methods of transit payments. One method is a stored value method, the other account payment system method or account method. Now, in advanced countries, in London, etc., they operate on an account method. That means the financial institution takes a risk, and then it's a transaction which happens at the toll gate, at the gate, and then it is squared up later within a period of 30 minutes to 1 hour. Now, financial institution takes a risk during that point of time. However, our experience, especially ICICI experience of running the Delhi Metro credit card and debit card systems for almost 6 years, is that, especially in debit cards, if you follow an account-based system method, you might run into problem because more often than not, people do not have money in their accounts, and the banks end up taking a loss. So if we have to really be successful, I think the approach that NPCI took with the NCMC structure, wherein you can move to an account-based method or you can have a stored value method. The hybrid method, I think, was the best solution to operate in. And I think for a country like India, where a variety of straight-out people use public transport, I think a mix of, a stored value method where, the medium of payment is on a debit card is the right way to go, and an account-based method with the medium of payment on contactless is on a credit card is also the right way to go. So in India, we have to look at a hybrid method to sort of address the risk factor. But I think the biggest test for transit interoperability, adoption, and risk would be in the Mumbai metros, because Mumbai is building 8 to 9 metro lines, right? And interoperability between the Mumbai metro lines, the monorail, the first metro line, the Indian Railways, and BST is really the acid test. If Mumbai can pull it off, then I think we would have cracked the model of how to do a transit payment implementation in India. And in fact,
lens that you use of adoption, risk, and also the fact, the example that you gave of Mumbai Metro, which seems to hint towards the platform that Tara Madam referred to at the start of the conversation, right? There has to be an overarching platform. Out of you, do you think a platform like that, built by the industry or ecosystem banks together, do you think that's a reality? What would it take?
See, two things, for any platform to operate, the platform should be viable. The first thing is the platform should be viable. So if the government and together, with the financial institutions, we can work out a model by which this platform is viable and the platform makes sense to invest into and gather some return out of it. It might be on a cost plus basis also. It might be on a sort of a non-profit basis also. But as long as the platform is viable and the financial institutions do not take a knock in terms of their bottom line, I think the platform will scale up very, very quickly. In fact, what I do believe is that the base pizza has to be transit. On top of transit, if you're able to build a retail layer which can be monetized for a profit motive by the participants in that platform, then the platform can be uniquely successful. The public layer, you make it free or you make it at payments layer. On top of that, you make it on a profit generating basis, right? So if you are able to build a hybrid model of that, I think it will be a great model. In fact, this is the model that Hong Kong operates in. If you look at Octopus, the Octopus transport layers operates on almost a cost plus basis for all the people around, but the retail layer on top generates a lot of money for Octopus.
Thanks, Sudipta. Mr. Pandey, I would like to bring you in. Sorry, we had an interruption. So I just want you to, build on and add on Sudipta's view. What's your opinion as the largest public sector bank with the largest customer base? Does a platform like this make sense? Of course, it does make sense, but do you think something like that is practical and feasible? And also, I would, request you to cover this piece about the customer behavior, where he's using the card or the instrument not only to buy the tickets or travel, but perhaps for other micropayments also. Do you think that's practical? And what's the challenge today? Is it the technology or is the regulation? What needs to be enabled? Mr. Pandey, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. As initially I told you that I don't look urban mobility as an individual piece. See, this system to actually leap forward, it is necessary that we to use mobility as a service. Why you expect a consumer to swipe three cards from starting his home and by the time he reach office? He need one card for his taxi, Ola, Uber, or things like this. One payment app for the metro. One payment app, another for the BST bus or whatever it is. Unless we give a seamless customer journey, customer is not going to adopt. This is one. Second portion is that as I think SB has an experience in terms of running the Noida, running the Nagpur metro, and third in Hyderabad from because of I think something with the Hyderabad metro and the government, we also backed out and the backdoor. See, it's a question bankers like Mr. Roy has a banker. There is something bottom line. I mean, it's very difficult for the banker to go for it and invest and build a platform. Urban mobility is an infrastructure project. If an operator expects the banks to put in money in terms of as a lead consortium or to manage a system integrator, manage that integrator, then probably it will be a do with. Because I'm telling not because of some anecdote or because of a practical problem which we have faced in Noida metro, we faced in Nagpur metro. We are a banker. We know how the payments move. We understand the consumer behavior. We understand what we need to do for a customer. But we don't understand what is a payment system integrator is required, how the rail tracks are to be built. So this is one part which we require. And the second thing, are we are able to monetize the data? I'm talking of the operators. Are they able to monetize the data? See, you take an example of Colombia. They subsidize. Tulave is their card. They subsidize their certain segment of people. They don't charge everyone the same price. Why cannot we do it? Like I think I was able to join Madam Thara when she started. What I understand, she talks of a seamless journey for a consumer. Things like apps like this, UbiGo, Movil, car sharing, carpooling. I mean, I'm absolutely with her in saying that why cannot, if I have a car, it's 10 to 5, from 10 o'clock in the evening, morning to 7 o'clock, my car is free. Why cannot it be used as a carpool share? So for this, we require a common platform, 100% interoperability, and an open structure. We cannot have a closed structure saying that only this person can run this person cannot run this. So this architecture should be open to each and every one. That's the my take on this. And as far as the risk perception is concerned, as a banker, no, we have been taking risks. We will take risks provided we are given freedom to play within an overall enclosed boundaries. So that's what is my take on this issue. I think like Beeline in Singapore now, it's a marketplace for a crowdsourced bus service. I mean, a user can book a seat on bus, lay it on a private bus. We need this type of value addition, and simultaneously for an operator, for a government also. We need to, see, the basic aim for a digitization probably is to reduce the cost of operation and to pass on to the ultimate consumer. And I think we can do it. That's all my take on this.
Right. Thank you very much for those views, Mr. Pandey. Mr. Sanjeev, to you, slightly different, but yet in continuation. Which is the, what have you seen the adoption overall in this space, right? Is this particular to, is it based on some category, the mode of transport? How are you seeing this as part of Bandhan Bank?
So, there are two aspects to it. One is as a part of Bandhan Bank, and where are we in terms of urban mobility? So if we look at where are we in terms of digitization of urban mobility, there I think we have just started on a journey. We have just embarked on a journey. We are in nascent stage. It is good to look at other countries and see what they are doing. But the grassroots realities are that people here, until a few years back, were not very confident of using the debit cards. They were not very confident of using any of the payment system which was there on the internet. So in last few years, we have traveled from there to this stage where in certain metro cities, we have places or mode of transport where we are able to make payments by cards, which could be either a card as a store of money, a store of value, or it is linked to the account from where the payment is made. Now, going to the expanse of it, I think still a lot of work needs to be done. There is no end game to it. There is no destination here. It is, I think we should only look at the pursuit of efficiency, comfort of travel, and efficacy of the modes. How can we make our payment systems or the modes of transport in urban locales more efficient? So from that point of view, if we look at it, then smaller modes of transport, which are unorganized, are still totally untouched. We have, Ola, Uber, one can make payment. Then, and few of the cities, metro, for metro payments, we have cards. In one of the cities, that card can be used on POS machine, so ATM also. So in different bits and pieces in different cities, there have been some developments. But we are still far away from thinking at, the way other countries are looking at it. They have gone far beyond the payment system. They are now talking about, vehicle to everyone, like in Singapore, if you look at. Then they are also talking about how to reduce the carbon print, look at Copenhagen. And all other things which my all other friends in this panel discussion, they mentioned. So if we look at all of these things, a lot of work has to be done. Though we can always say that a particular mode of transport it has adopted better than other mode of transport, but that would only be for a discussion purpose. Because if I say that buses, it is not fully, then buses, if it is not fully adopted, it is because of the fear psychosis of the people using and lack of infrastructure. Whereas in metros, when I see most of the metros have adopted one or the other kind of payment system, where there is payments are made easily, effectively, swiftly. Still, we have to go a step further. We have to have a central grievance redressal mechanism. We have to have a mechanism which generates MIS on these payments and reconciles all these payments. So those things are still, we are far away from those things. So I think that is why I said we are on a pursuit to reach a level or pursuit of efficiency, if I may say.
Yeah, but thanks, Mr. Narayan, for that.
As far as Bandhan Bank is concerned, the second part of your question, if I may come to. So we are looking forward, and we understand that any business, until or unless it is profitable for the provider and is profitable for the user, if the user also sees the value, then only that service or project would be successful. Otherwise, it won't be successful. So our bank is, I think, it is the youngest bank in the ground, in the playground, and then we are playing the innings well. We are fully focused on digitizing all our services, and I see a value because there are a lot of fees and earnings and incomes involved in it, like issuance fees, like services fees, like interchange, and then again it gives us an opportunity for customer acquisition, which increases the customer stickiness. So there is a lot of value from point of view of bank. Similarly, same kind of value, if I am able to provide, or my customer also perceives similar kind of value from these transactions, then I think this will be successful. Otherwise, there would be some issues there.
Thanks, Mr. Narayan. Thank you very much for that. Let me ask one follow-through question. In this pursuit, have you set a timeline? Do you see that happening in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? What's your view on that?
So I will go back to my first.
I know, tough one, but
there is no end game to it. There is no destination point. So it is a pursuit of efficiency and efficient system. So every day, for tomorrow, I have some target. Day after tomorrow, there would be another targets to build in more and more swiftness, more and more efficiency.
Perhaps the recommendation that Madam Thara gave right at the start, the overarching platform, maybe one take the lead in that. Perhaps that could be an answer.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Madam Tara, back to you. So there are different.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
there are
please
different.
continue.
So in terms of adoption, we spoke about Delhi Metro, we spoke about Noida, we spoke about MRT, so on and so forth. Have you seen a particular category or particular class, how you define it, which has been neglected, or do you think it's equally, the digital adoption is equal in all of them? And do you have any insight as to why in a particular? Go ahead.
Yeah, I can. I want to answer these things. I mean, I may not be too clear. Please pardon me for that. The first thing which I want to tell you is everybody is saying about the profits and it should be operational. We should be able to get money. No way. Noida's ridership right now is at a particular level because it has covered particular kilometers and it still has to diversify. The metro which carries the most of the people is Delhi Metro. Mumbai Metro may be the next one. Nagpur Metro will take a long time. So as far as the banks investing in the AFCs, automated fare collection systems and the cards will have to go through that pain point to actually achieve the critical level of business. And if it is retailers loaded onto it, it may sort of solve the problem a bit. So that's what I'm saying. We need to think differently. Somewhere we got into it and we have got committed there. Can we look at a platform where not only Metro, everybody else who wants to provide that as a service can join in with ease and get out with ease? Simple Airbnb concept for vehicles. Can it happen? That's what I was asking. Number one. Number two, you people said we don't want to invest. No, you don't invest. You just handhold. A lot of startups are there. बैंगलोर में 2-3 स्टार्टअप है जिन्होंने ये शुरू किया है. हैदराबाद में 2-3 स्टार्टअप है. They made public. I think Hyderabad. I just attended a national jury day before. That's why I know on Saturday that in Hyderabad, RTC, the state transport corporations, the city transport corporation, tied up with the startups to provide first mile connectivity. See whether banks and other platforms can we aggregate them onto a platform. That kind of efforts have to go on. Because there is no way, by the time we provide everybody public transit, it will be, I think, very ambitiously, another 10 years. And, here you're talking about Metro, the card of Japan, very good card, but underlying that is an excellent transit system. The card is topping on the cake. I mean, even if the card is, it's a beautiful system. So there is no transit system. We don't have enough transit system and a lot of investment has to go there. But I don't see only the public investment going there. Public investment has to go, will go, but you cannot, we have 30,000 buses, but what we need is 120,000 buses in all our cities. So 90,000 buses are not going to overnight come from government. It has to come from private also, or the other modes of transit. And can we have an Airbnb model? I may be very ambitious, I may be unclear, but I somehow feel there is a possibility we look at it, aggregate whatever is happening everywhere and handle it. That's the first thing.
Thank you.
Second thing I want to tell you is, sorry, what was the question you asked? Digital. Actually, it's nothing except the inertia in the systems. There is a lot of transport corporations have not. Metros are new creations. Metros are new age babies.
Sure.
All the bus transit corporations, they exist in various eras in India. They have to transit to this era. I think BEST is headed by a very wonderful officer. He's trying to put in that NCMC in place. We are in the last leg of starting our pilot. Okay. As Sir said, if something happens in Bombay, nothing like it. We will do it. But I think many of the other transport corporations, there are very small things which are stopping digital adoption. That is why I'm saying bring in an overall platform where the public will shift to it, therefore the PTOs will have to shift to it.
Sure.
Only banks can
Point
do
well
that because it will provide retail capability on it. You can give discounts, you can make it attractive. then all the public will shift to it, automatically pushing the PTOs to shift to it. So ask the PTOs to start this effort, they are not starting. I'm sorry, it takes a lot of time.
Thanks, man. I think that's a great insight. Thank you very much for that. We are running a little bit of short on time, so Sudhita, I'm going to do a quick one, a couple of questions quickly with you and the couple of other bankers that we have. Sudhita, you mentioned right in the start, right, what we know as FASTag. I think, right, way back in 6-7 years back, ICICI and I recollect SBI was one of the first banks that implemented it, and then later on it moved to the interoperable, platform. What's the difference that you've seen with, the closed loop and then coming into interoperable, and how do you see that space evolving now?
Yeah. In fact, FASTag was built by, we take great pride of the fact that FASTag was actually built by ICICI Bank with a small pilot between Charoti Toll Plaza on the Mumbai-Baroda highway.
Sure.
And then, I think FASTag is really an excellent example where a national company was set up, IHMCL was set up under the aegis of National Highways Authority of India just to manage the toll operations, as well as also, they have they do traffic surveys, etc., all that stuff. But the fact is that the primary aim of IHMCL is to manage FASTag. And I think corporatizing the rollout of FASTag with participation from the banks, from NHI, and from the concessionaires was, I think, one of a fundamentally great step. As ICICI Bank, yes, we were initially almost close to a monopoly player in that environment, but we have slowly given out many of the toll plazas, both acquiring to other players as well, and other issuers have come in. Now almost close to 30 banks issue FASTag, and I think that has really propelled the system forward. The fact is that right now, the toll payments are close to on FASTag from a zero base. Now we are close to about 40-45% of the annual monthly toll payments that we are doing, is coming, and actually it's now much more after it went mandatory. And it's probably close to 65 to 70% now. And frankly, one of the greatest impetus of the toll payments was the government saying that it has to be made mandatory. Now, obviously, at toll plazas, obviously it is not always a very easy decision for the government to say to make something mandatory. But I think at behavior modification, consumers are very resistant to modifying the behavior. They require a push at times to modify the behavior. And frankly, the impact of the behavior modification is good for the customer, but the customer really does not understand that. So the customer at times needs some push, the customer at times needs some hard push. And frankly, FASTag has been a great experience. FASTag has been a great learning in that matter.
Sure. All right. Thanks, Sudhita. Mr. Pandey, I would like to bring you here. Again, SBI is one of the largest one participating in FASTag. What do you see as the value adds, right? As a consumer, I think, okay, I have a nice sticker, RFID on my car, I'm paying, on the highways. Do you see that happening? What's your view on that, sir?
See, Mr. Khan, it should happen. See, what is a FASTag? FASTag is nothing but a wallet, prepaid wallet. If it is a prepaid wallet, why cannot, while traveling on a national highway, why cannot I pay through a petrol bunk? Why cannot some other services I can use by using my FASTag? Again, I say there has to be an interoperability between the system, and I think ICICI Mr. Roy has very clearly told that it's an open loop. Unless a system is an open loop system, it is not going to survive. Right now, in fact, it is beyond open loop. It should be plug and play. Suppose tomorrow X banks wants to issue in FASTag, they don't have to invest too much in the infrastructure. They simply plug into system, issue FASTag. Maybe they are very strong regionally. They issue and just cater to that region. So until we have this play and plug model in the common mobility system, where there is a metro, where it is a bus, where it is a FASTag, it is not going to happen. One point I will like to respond to Madam Thara's query. In fact, SBI was in forefront, and in fact, we had a detailed discussion with some All India. There's an association also for the State Road Corporation.
All India
ARST. And we did talk to the individual ARST also. See, it's not a question. Bankers can bring in basically a fintechs, but the buying should happen from a straight road transport corporation. Because convert into any system, they're all state road transport corporation. Since they are a legacy bank, so they are a legacy organization, they don't have the requisite infrastructure to accept the digital payment. Options for them is to either they invest or they ask someone to invest in the infrastructure. Slightly politically sensitive issue. And any infrastructure to initiate with will require a lot of money because they are public infrastructure. Their payout period is around 20 years. You cannot think of paying them before 20 years. So that's the chicken and egg story. So around 2 years back, it was when I was there in the system. For 2 years, I'm not there. So I'm not fully conversant in last 2 years what has happened. So that was the chicken and egg story. We did talk to, I think ma'am talked about Hyderabad. I think we talked, then they issue an RFP. Who is going to pay me money out of the commission which we earn? And then nobody bank will come forward.
Thanks, Mr. Pandey. Thank you, Mr. Pandey. Madam Tara, a quick 1 minute response. We are a little short on time, ma'am, but a quick response from you on that, please.
At the cost of repetition, I only say that the place where we are searching for solutions, the solution is not there. We need to change the way and place where we are searching for solutions. I am saying provide that platform as a service to all the vehicles. There are startups which have very smartly got, say, 200,000 autos rickshaws on them, and therefore actually linking it. I am only saying, can we do? I mean, I don't know. Technologically, it may be feasible. Today, I go to a sweet shop. There is a QR code. I scan and pay. Okay, so can we do that for private vehicles and public vehicles? They have to adopt it. It doesn't really cost much. Actually, I mean, not much. It's the same discounting rate under which this money is got. So I would only request relook at it from a new technology angle. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes, thanks, ma'am. I think you made the point. There are a lot of bankers on this webinar. I'm sure they'll see this point.
See, ma'am, actually, these are there. It is there in the world. It's not there. It is not there. There is a Moovel, MOOVEL. Now the Moovel, I mean, you can book and for Car2Go, you can book My Taxi, you can even pay for the douche bound. What you're talking, it does exist. So what we need to create an overarching infrastructure for it, overarching parabolic.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Pandey.
Create a compulsory registration like Aadhaar, then it will work. See, that's what I said. A vehicle Aadhaar with an Airbnb kind of model will have to work.
Thank you, madam. Mr. Narani, I would like to get in. You being the young universal bank, I would like to put it. What's your view on this entire RFID FASTag? Do you think there's a need for a refresh over there to bring the value adds that Sudipta was talking about and Mr. Ravindra mentioned? Do we get something, AI, GPS? What's your view on that?
Yeah, I fully agree. But then, as I said earlier, that until or unless, it creates a value proposition for the user as well as the provider, it won't work. Until or unless both of them, they find value in the proposition, it won't work. It may work. It may work for a short period of time, but we don't want, we don't want shortcuts. We don't want our projects to be there for a very short period of time. Banks have tried to put in place.
I really appreciate the divergent views. I'm sure the audience enjoyed it. Thank you. Ipsita, over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the engaging panel. We now move on to the next segment, which is on the nth rewards. Customers demand infinite gratifications and services beyond the regular offerings to remain loyal. NPCI has created just the right solution to enable banks to keep their customers loyal with infinite possibilities. Introducing the nth rewards program from NPCI. We would now love to launch the nth rewards.
Rewards, It makes everyone happy. It can make your customers happy too. And when they stay happy, they stay loyal. Now, we all know how acquiring a new customer is 7 times more expensive than retaining existing customers. Rewards build stronger relationships with existing customers and new customers without inflating your marketing budget. So, let's evolve to the next level of smarter and better loyalty for banks. Presenting the Nth Rewards program from NPCI for all your customers, which comes with infinite rewards possibilities. A collaborated endeavor of all banks and the nation's dedicated payment partner NPCI. Imagine a world where we drive digital payment at retail together while transforming customer spends into savings by rewarding them with points for every digital transaction. And all these points getting accumulated at one place to be redeemed for infinite options. With this, strengthening customer relationships with endless choices and personalized rewards, while boosting profits and reducing costs. That's why it's called the Nth Rewards program. So, why Nth Rewards? It's an all-in-one rewards management platform. It helps to manage your customers better with its 4 modules approach. 1. Analytics and business intelligence. It provides real-time access to product portfolio and campaign performance, offers actionable insights to drive in the right direction, and identifies the right audience to maximize returns on your marketing spend. 2. Offers. Curate offers that are customer specific and reach them at the right place by geo-tagged marketing. 3. Loyalty Engine. It offers a user-friendly campaign module. You can easily create, design and implement omni-channel campaigns like email, SMS, social media effectively with ease. 4. Rewards Platform. A customer can utilize his earned points across multiple uses. We have a web app, a feature-packed 24/7 loyalty website with a smooth interface, precise promotional information, easy sign-ups with genuine help, and FAQs section for great customer experience. We have a mobile app. This smart app would guide users easily, right from joining the program to redeeming the rewards and having a seamless user experience throughout. Nth Rewards website and mobile app can be adapted as per the bank's look and feel for customers' experience. And all this can be configured into the current system easily without any need for creating a new one. Sign up now and give the customers the infinite rewards possibilities. The Nth Rewards program from NPCI. Infinite possibilities, infinite rewards.
We are excited to launch the Nth Rewards program. We believe our unique offerings will provide customers a rewarding experience on their day-to-day transactions. Let's hear what our banks have to say about this.
Hello, friends. At the outset, let me thank our Prime Minister, our government, for making our economy into a digital economy. I would like to place my appreciation and my thanks, sincere thanks to NPCI for coming out with this loyalty reward program, this Nth Rewards. Nth Rewards is very critical from consumer perspective. It increases the stickiness of the customers and also it induces the transaction. One good point with this reward program is all possible transactions are rewarded. It's placed in one account and it can be redeemed at one place, and which makes convenience at its best. I'm sure this will go a long way in creating consumer stickiness, long way in creating digital transaction and creating an ideal platform for the consumer.
We wish to thank National Payment Corporation of India for leading the way cashless economy, and congratulations on launching Nth Reward. Nth Reward, being an omni-channel platform, allows to focus on a customer rather than an individual products. A simplified commercial structure helps in defining products, as well as white labeling option is an incentive to deploy the program quickly and keep it cost effective. Thank you, NPCI.
With that, we come to the end of today's event. It has been a fulfilling and much enriching afternoon. May I now request Mr. Kunal Kalavatia, Chief Marketing NPCI, to propose the vote of thanks.
For opening the address for this celebration today. I think I can sense a lot of excitement around this conversation of 5 years. I think it's been a celebration of everyone coming together, banks, fintechs, government policies, NPCI coming together and creating a success out of digital payments in the country and digital India as a larger canvas. We're proud, I think, for us, what's worked is the huge base of customers on mobile phones that worked for us. The cost of data being low, that's been a great enabler to the process of digital adoption. What we've seen is customers also move away from the fear of technology to actually asking for technology. These current times have actually pushed for the need of digital payments more than ever. I think most of the payment systems that we manage, whether it's UPI, RuPay, Aadhaar, NETC, Bharat Bill Pay, have actually stood up to the expectations of the consumer and scaled up to the demands of current times. At NPCI, we're working together with the ecosystem to deliver safe and secure payment channels for customers. We've invested for, I think, what I picked up from the panel discussions, that is about creating scale in the country, creating infrastructure which gives a cost advantage. But we'll also have to focus on driving customer awareness, help them during the onboarding process, during the transaction process. And I think our journey of launching Pi and Nth is clearly on that direction. Pi, the chatbot, will help customers answer questions to them about their doubts and queries about the products, also help them onboard onto the products and the platforms. And that will resolve the first leg, which is the customer onboarding. And Nth, which is the rewards program, will reward their behavior of using more and more digital payments. So that solves for the last leg, which is on the customer adoption bit. Once again, let me thank you all, distinguished guests, taking time for this conversation. And I think for the celebration of 5 years of Digital India, there's lots more ahead of us. I think there's a huge legacy that we've created in the last 5 years. There's lots to learn for in the next 5 years to come. Thank you very much.